You open your paycheck in January, same job, same hours, same salary, but something's different. The number at the bottom is higher, not by much. Maybe $20, maybe $50, maybe $100, depending on what you make. But it's bigger. And you didn't get a raise. You check again. Is this a mistake? Did payroll screw up? Nope. Your paycheck is legitimately bigger, and it's not just you. Millions of workers across the country are seeing the same thing. More money in their paychecks without doing a single thing differently. Welcome to 2026, where the tax code just shifted in your favor. The IRS adjusted the withholding tables. Tax brackets got wider. The standard deduction went up. And all of that means less money is being taken out of your paycheck every 2 weeks. It's not a raise, but it spends the same. So let's break down exactly why your paycheck is bigger, how much more you could be getting, and what you need to do to maximize this. By the end, you'll understand exactly what changed and how to make sure you're getting every dollar you deserve. Reason number 1, wider tax brackets. First reason your paycheck is bigger. Tax brackets got wider, way wider. The IRS increased the income ranges for the 2 lowest tax brackets by about 4%, and the higher brackets by roughly 2.3%. That might not sound like much, but it matters. Here's how tax brackets work. Different chunks of your income get taxed at different rates. The first chunk gets taxed at 10%, the next chunk at 12%, then 22%, and so on. When the brackets get wider, you can earn more money in the lower brackets before jumping to the higher ones. Let's say you're single and you make $50,000 a year. Last year, part of your income was getting taxed at 22% because you were over the threshold. This year, with the wider brackets, more of your income stays in the 12% bracket. That means less tax overall, and less tax means more money in your paycheck. But a couple dollars per paycheck is $50 to $100 a year. Not life-changing, but it's money you weren't getting before. And this happens automatically. You don't have to do anything. Your employer's payroll system uses the new IRS withholding tables, and boom, less tax comes out of your check. More money hits your bank account. Reason number 2, higher standard deduction. Second reason, the standard deduction went up. For 2026, single filers get $16,100, up $350 from last year. Married couples filing jointly get $32,200, up $700. Now, the standard deduction doesn't directly affect your paycheck the same way tax brackets do, but it affects how much tax your employer withholds. Here's why. When you filled out your W-4 form, you told your employer your filing status. Single, married, head of household, whatever. Your employer uses that information along with the IRS withholding tables to figure out how much tax to take out of each paycheck. With the higher standard deduction, the IRS withholding tables assume you'll owe less tax over the course of the year. So they tell your employer to withhold less from each paycheck. That means more money in your pocket now instead of waiting for a refund next year. The government held your money interest-free for 12 months, then gave it back. That's not a win. You want your money now in your paycheck where you can use it, invest it, or save it. The higher standard deduction helps with that. Reason number 3, no tax on tips and overtime. Third reason, and this is the big one for certain workers, the IRS created new deductions for qualified tips and qualified overtime compensation. You can deduct up to $25,000 of tips and up to $12,500 of overtime if you're single, or $25,000 if you're married filing jointly. Now here's where it gets interesting. These deductions don't just affect your tax return next year, they can affect your paycheck right now. If you submit an updated Form W-4 to your employer, you can account for your expected deduction and receive more money in each paycheck instead of waiting until filing your income tax return. Now, let me break this down. Let's say you're a server making $40,000 a year, and $25,000 of that is tips. Normally, your employer would withhold taxes based on your $40,000 salary. But if you update your W-4, they'll withhold taxes based on only $15,000 of taxable income. That's way less withholding, way more money in your paycheck. Same thing with overtime. If you're a nurse, a factory worker, a warehouse employee grinding overtime, you can deduct up to $12,500 of that overtime pay. Update your W-4 and your employer withholds less tax. Your paycheck gets bigger, but you have to take action on this one. It's not automatic. You need to fill out a new W-4 form and submit it to your employer. On the form, there's a section for deductions. You enter your estimated tips or overtime for the year, and that adjusts your withholding. If you work in a job with tips or overtime, this is huge. This could mean an extra $100, $200, even $300 more per paycheck, depending on how much you make in tips and overtime. Over a year, that's thousands of dollars. Reason number 4, updated withholding tables. Fourth reason, the IRS released new 2026 withholding tables, which determine how much money employers withhold from employee wages and paychecks for federal taxes. These tables got updated to reflect all the tax changes we just talked about. The wider brackets, the higher standard deduction, the tips and overtime deductions. Your employer uses these tables to calculate how much tax to withhold from every paycheck. When the tables change, your withholding changes. And with the 2026 tables, withholding went down for most people. That means more take-home pay. Now, some people might freak out about this. Wait, if less tax is being withheld, does that mean I'll owe money when I file my taxes? Not necessarily. The IRS designed these tables to match what you'll actually owe based on the new tax laws. So for most people, their withholding will still be pretty accurate. You might get a slightly smaller refund, or you might break even, but you're not going to suddenly owe thousands of dollars. And honestly, a smaller refund is a good thing. It means you're getting your money throughout the year in your paychecks instead of loaning it to the government interest-free. Reason number 5, one big beautiful bill changes. Fifth reason, and this ties everything together. The one big beautiful bill that passed in July 2025 permanently extended Trump's 2017 tax cuts, boosted the standard deduction, increased the child tax credit, and added several temporary tax breaks. A lot of these changes applied to the 2025 tax year, but the IRS didn't update withholding tables for 2025. So workers didn't see bigger paychecks last year. They'll see bigger tax refunds when they file their 2025 returns this spring. But starting in 2026, the withholding tables are updated, so now those tax breaks show up in your paycheck, not just your refund. This includes things like the senior deduction if you're over 65, the higher SALT deduction if you're in a high tax state, and the tips and overtime deductions we already talked about. All of these reduce your overall tax burden, and now that the withholding tables reflect them, you're getting the benefit in real time. The point is, 2026 is the year where all these tax changes finally hit your paycheck. You've been waiting for this, and now it's here. How to maximize your bigger paycheck. So, what should you do to make sure you're getting the most out of your bigger paycheck? First, if you work for tips or overtime, update your W-4 immediately. Go to your HR department, get a new W-4 form, fill out the deduction section with your estimated tips or overtime for the year, and submit it. This is the single biggest thing you can do to increase your paycheck right now. Second, check your withholding. Use the IRS tax withholding estimator at irs.gov/W4 app. Plug in your income, your filing status, your deductions, and it'll tell you if you're withholding the right amount. If you're withholding too much, you can adjust your W-4 to keep more money in your paycheck. If you're withholding too little, you can increase it to avoid a tax bill next year. Third, don't waste your bigger paycheck. I know it's tempting to see that extra $50 or $100 and think, oh cool, more money to spend. But that's how you stay broke. Instead, use that extra money strategically. Put it toward debt. Throw it in your savings. Max out your 401k. Invest it. Make that money work for you instead of just letting it disappear into random purchases. And finally, understand that this isn't a one-time thing. The tax brackets will keep adjusting for inflation every year. The standard deduction will keep going up. Your paycheck will keep getting slightly bigger every year, assuming you stay at the same income level. This is the new normal, so there you have it. 5 reasons why your paycheck is bigger in the 2026, even if you didn't get a raise. Wider tax brackets, higher standard deduction, deductions for tips and overtime, updated withholding tables, and all the changes from the one big beautiful bill finally showing up in your paycheck instead of just your tax refund. For most workers, we're talking about a couple of dollars a paycheck. But for people claiming the tips and overtime deductions, it could be hundreds of dollars more per month. That's real money. Money that was going to the government. Money that's now staying with you. But here's the thing. Just because your paycheck is bigger doesn't mean you're rich. Inflation is still eating away at your purchasing power. Rent is still expensive. Groceries are still expensive. Gas is still expensive. So that extra $50 or $100 in your paycheck, it helps, but it's not a solution to all your financial problems. What it is, though, is an opportunity to pay down debt faster, an opportunity to save more, an opportunity to invest more, an opportunity to build wealth instead of just treading water. So when you see that bigger number on your paycheck, don't ignore it. Don't just spend it without thinking. Use it strategically, because that's how you actually get ahead. Not by waiting for a big raise or winning the lottery, but by taking every small win, every extra dollar, and putting it to work. Your paycheck is bigger. What you do with it is up to you. Make it count.